Hi.
I'm your plastic and enthusiastic host, Rio Lefevre.
I'm your fantastic scholastic host, Will Hauser.
And this is Mind Over Mattel.
A Barbie movie breakdown.
And you guys, it's over.
I wish it was not. I wish this was anything other than Mind Over Mattel, a Barbie movie breakdown. Oh my gosh.
Hey everybody, I take it all back. Maybe little girls are stupid. And maybe they don't deserve anything good. And man. And right after the last one,
I was riding such a high of Princess and the Pauper. I cried in the last episode.
I know.
I thought that was the beginning of this podcast journey that we wanted to go on. And
it's over. It's done.
It's over.
We killed it dead.
Hey everybody, show's canceled.
Sorry, wrap it up. Go home.
Barbie Fairytopia ruined my life.
Yeah.
That's the clickbait title of this YouTube video.
Everybody, I hate this movie. And I remembered going into this, I was like, I'm really not looking forward to Barbie Fairytopia for some reason. I think I just really did not jive with it as a kid.
Yeah.
And I was right.
I mean, you hated women as a kid.
I did.
So it could have been that.
That's, I was really trying to, and you grow up and your ideas change, but I had the same experience of we live next to this amusement park called Lagoon, and there's this ride called the Terror Ride, and I went on it when I was 11 and was so scared that they had to stop the ride and come get Screaming Crying Rio off of it, and I rode it again as an adult. And it was still horrifying, and I still did a big cry, and they still had to stop the ride. That part's not true.
They didn't.
But I was so right. And I'm also right about Fairytopia.
But
Fairytopia is the terror ride of Barbie cinema.
I almost had to stop the movie because I thought you were about to start screaming and crying.
Yeah.
During Barbie Fairytopia.
Yeah.
There's been so many people. There's two types of people. Mm-hmm. There's those of you out there who care about us, who recommended Barbie, Princess and the Pauper, and we're so excited about that. Mm-hmm. And then there's another group of you who are really excited for us to get to Barbie Fairytopia.
Yeah. And
this was just a sick, cruel joke.
Yeah.
You just wanted to hurt us.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm personally in a process of mourning for all of the friends that I thought that I had, but these people actually just wanted to hurt me.
A lot of friendships are over right now.
Yeah.
So this is Barbie Fairytopia.
Yeah, it's Barbie Fairytopia.
We've taken the prepositions out of the equation entirely.
It's just a colon.
It's just a colon. It's just a colon is the subtitle of this movie.
Barbie Fairytopia, it's just a colon.
So I had a new idea.
Okay.
For this podcast. Uh-huh. Which is that back when we liked doing this, when it was fun because we got to watch Princess and the Pauper and everything felt good and right in the universe, I was thinking we should really lean into the sleepover energy and that we should start the podcast with a sleepover question.
Oh, fun.
So I have a sleepover question for you.
Those of you watching the video, I'm kind of snug as a bug right now.
Yeah,
so.
We've got the bunk beds behind us. We're on the couch. We're going to try to fight for that sleepover energy in this episode.
Yeah.
Here's me. I'm just going to tell it to you straight right now. Funny goof, haha, intro. This movie sucked, but we got plenty to talk about in this episode, and it'll be fine. Rio.
Yes?
If you were a plant-based fairy, what kind of fairy would you be?
I was a plant-based fairy. Ooh, I like this question.
I think I would be a little cactus fairy. Like the succulent ones that are just very round.
Oh, yeah. That'd be nice.
I would have a little cactus motif.
And you're super spiky?
A regular amount of spiky.
I
would have spiky 1980s shoulder pads.
Yeah. I think that I would really like to be a pitcher plant fairy, because I think that pitcher plants would make such a nice 90s evening wear kind of gown, and then also I just enjoy the idea of maybe an all-consuming carnivorous void underneath my dress. I don't know if I can say that, actually. Maybe that's a little bit Don't think about it too hard, okay? As long as you hey, listeners, as long as you promise not to think about that bit too hard, Will won't edit it out of the podcast.
Okay, deal.
So just pinky promise, okay? Don't think about the carnivorous void.
If there was one of the fairies in this movie, because this movie's playing into, like, almost every harmful female stereotype, but if there was just one fairy that was, like, eating handfuls and handfuls and handfuls of flies all the time,
that'd be so
really
rad.
Cool.
Yeah.
And just, like, slowly using her mucus to, like, dissolve them. Okay, what normally happens, let's take you behind the scenes on Mind Over Mattel. Rio works really hard to make sure...
Because we don't care anymore. Let's just show you our secrets.
Rio works really hard to make sure that we're prepared for this podcast.
Yeah.
So she'll outline beat by beat what happens in the story of the movie, and then we'll kind of trade off explaining those. And we watched this movie, and Rio looked at me with the deadest eyes I've ever seen and said... Can you please outline this movie? And I said, sure. I didn't. Because I didn't want to either. But what this means is we're going to speed round, try to get through the plot of this movie as fast as possible.
I really don't know what
I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
I'll hop in.
We'll go back for the highlights. We'll probably spend a disproportionate amount of time in the lowlights. And we're in the B segment, baby. And then it's over with.
Okay. I just don't want to relive it.
Barbie Fairytopia starts out with a narration. I don't remember a single word of it. It says something about how they're fairies and they live in Fairytopia, probably. That's all you need to know.
Isn't it so bad that I miss Shelley Kelly?
I wish that this movie started anywhere else.
I miss her.
If you were going to add a framing device,
I don't even know if
Shelley,
I'm supposed to be learning about being kind, caring, or brave in this movie. I don't know what the moral of Fairytopia is.
Just to keep us away from getting into Fairytopia for as long as possible, I think this movie should start with Barbie and Kelly skateboarding in a skate park together. And Kelly gets stung by a bee. And, like, stomps it to death and kills it. Which is fine. The bee was going to die anyway because it stung her. But Barbie's like, let's learn about... being brave and acquiring new skills, learning how to fly, doing sick ollies. And this time, I'm not even going to come up with a ballet. I'm just going to freestyle this one for you.
Yep.
Which is what it feels like. It feels like there should have been a framing device where Barbie was like, I've only seen 3 ballets and read 1 Charles Dickens book. So I'm just going to look around and be like, oh, there's a little girl and she looks like me, kind of. And she lives in a tulip, and... Okay.
Let's talk about that, actually.
No, let me just plow through the plot of this movie.
Okay.
As best as I can.
We gotta talk about the Barbie facelift.
We're gonna talk about everything.
Who the freak is Elena? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Alina. Right? Yeah.
I know.
It's nothing. So, narration. Barbie is a fairy. They all have plant kind of theme motifs. They live inside plants. Everyone hates Barbie because her name is Alina and she's the fairy that doesn't have any wings.
It's kind of got like a soft Thumbelina energy.
It's got a soft Thumbelina energy.
It'd be better if it was more Thumbelina.
And a hard ableist sort of undercurrent to this whole thing. So Barbie doesn't have wings, so everyone hates her and relentlessly makes fun of her in some very poorly thought out dialogue of just like, what have I seen mean girls say on a playground 40 times over the last 50 years in cartoons. So it's just a lot of that. Barbie has this one moment where she is an expert pitcher and can just kind of dome anything from 100 yards away. They set that up in the beginning.
So important to the plot of this movie.
It's so important.
That Barbie just has the winning the big game.
Barbie's got this monster arm.
Yeah.
The magnificent Casey out here or whatever, So Fairytopia is a fictional world, maybe, or just like the small version of our world. It doesn't matter. Guys.
It doesn't matter.
None of this matters. We're in Fairytopia. There's 4 types of fairies, split into 2 groups, male and female. Okay? The male fairies are either leprechauns or twinks.
Yeah.
The female fairies are either overly sexualized 13-year-old girls or MILFs.
Or MILFs.
So we've got MILFs, 13-year-olds, twinks, and leprechauns.
Yeah.
And that's who populate this world. And the MILFiest of them all, her name is Laverna. Mm-hmm. And she's kidnapping all of the guardian fairies so that she can suck the power. They say that a lot, so that she can suck the power out of their necklaces. No,
they don't say that so she can suck the power of it. They say so she can suck the power.
There's a very Shakespearean cadence where they are hitting the verb hard every time. And she's going to suck the power out of these necklaces and become the Queen of Fairytopia by having all of the power. And how she kidnaps all of these ultra-powerful fairy guardians is that she sends her, like, 3 very slow, very dumb troll goblin minions out who they just walk out very slowly and come back with a guardian. We see none of the conflict of, like, these people getting kidnapped. I guess they are very bad. And she does this magical spell where all of the fairies can't fly anymore, but this is great for Barbie because she's the only one who's used to walking. For Alina, whatever. And her and Bibble, her nasty little sidekick, we'll talk about Bibble. They walk out, they meet another great MILF. The MILFs are the highlight of this. And she meets another one of the guardians. Her name's Azura. There's all, like, colored whatever. She gives Alina her necklace so that when she gets kidnapped, it's not going to be a problem. So Alina has the necklace. All the guardians get kidnapped. Alina then just walks basically straight to Laverna and brings her the necklace, but then is like, I have the power to defeat you because I'm not like the other fairies. And so she pulls off her necklace, baseball, speedball, smashes Laverna's crystal that she's using to suck all the power out of the necklaces. Laverna dies, maybe. I can't even remember what happens to Laverna.
I think she's in Mermaidia.
I'm good. She's the best part of this movie. She's the best part. Honestly, Laverna can come back. But the Enchantress, who is talked about, not established in any way, what's her role, what are her powers, who cares? She's then freed at the end. And after Barbie learns that she is special and has the power to succeed because she's different than everybody else, is then just given wings at the end of the movie. So now she's just like everybody else and finally gets to be loved because she has wings again.
Yeah.
The end.
The end.
Riff time, baby. Let's go.
And just so much happens in there. We meet like 25,000 characters.
It feels like we're setting up a lot of sequels, which is...
And there's 2. There's Barbie Mermaidia and Barbie Fairytopia Magic of the Rainbow.
What's really scary about how challenging this film was is knowing that it's going to get so much worse. Mm-hmm. I thought we had longer before the downhill climb. The existential crisis we had...
There's a couple good ones coming, but man...
The crisis we had...
done already.
Of just like, is this what it's like from here on out? We've tasted gold. We've already hit 12 out of 12. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a lot of stinkers for a long time. So bear with us. We're going to learn how to navigate that together. Mm-hmm. And just make space.
A harsh wake-up call, you know?
Make space for us to, like, mourn in this episode. They won't all be like this. Mm-hmm. Okay, really quick. Bibble impression, go.
That's so funny because I knew you were going to ask me to do a Bibble impression because I do have a completely killer Bibble impression. But I was wanting to remember, like, any of the things that he specifically says. And so I looked up Bibble quotes, and it was like...
Yeah, what did that look like? Look into me
in every thought. Like...
Because people who just misspell Bible.
So when you look up Bibble quotes, the top one is like... Walk with God, for he is the light.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah, I actually have a Bibble study tomorrow night.
Bibble study? No, but...
I will say that Bibble is the most popular with our Catholic friends. And maybe that's why. Guys...
And maybe that's it.
This movie's not about the Bible. This is about a nasty little guy named Bibble. This movie looks so bad.
Oh my gosh.
The budget crashed into the dirt after Princess and the Pauper, and who did they get to play Barbie?
It's Kelly Sheridan, but
Not Kelly Sheridan. The actress playing Barbie. Who is that? She's unrecognizable.
I don't know. This Barbie has like a complete facelift, and what super bugs me, and we'll talk about this more throughout, is that like she looks nothing like other Barbies from other Barbie movies, and she also is like drawn and performed so much younger. It's like more of a preteen Barbie energy.
Kelly Sheridan's pushing it so far into the sinus. It's weird.
And she drops out of it sometimes, but then any other time she has to like perform with another actor, she like, I don't know, like who told her to do that? But then it's also the Barbie, the first Barbie, I think that's really been like sexualized.
The whole movie is just watching the animators try to figure out the best way to place a camera around a character model that is just legs and the tiniest skirt.
The
and
tiniest
it's super
little
weird,
rosette skirt.
which is like a cool look.
Which is so cute, but you don't have to get 1 inch away from Barbie crotch. You know what I mean? Her arms are longer than her legs. She walks weird. She crouches and crawls through so much.
There's a lot of crawling in this movie.
There's so much crawling in this movie.
Barbie as like a concept, as a model, as a character, as a doll is like all about the difficult relationship between Barbie's body type and real humans' body types. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there are like people that look very similar to Barbie, and that's great. Just like this movie feels like they saw that throughout the Barbie movies that they've made so far, a sort of like body dysphoria was starting to build, and they just assumed that's what people liked about Barbie movies. And so they like tripled down on that.
Yeah, the only good part, here's what I wrote. I wrote down one note, and I was like, I hate this movie. I think that all of the acting choices are really unauthentic. I think it looks like garbage. I think the plot is completely unmotivated. It does look pretty nice to sleep on a flower, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, the pros.
That does look pretty cozy.
The pros of this movie. Bibble YouTube poop edits.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. Sleeping
there you go,
inside of a flower. Thank you.
You're welcome.
They were waiting for it. Sleeping inside of a flower looks really cozy.
So cozy up in there.
And
my sentient skin peony flower home. It does look pretty lush up in there.
Every single one of the fairies that aren't an overly sexualized young girl are cool.
So cool. Azura,
all of the
slice.
adult women.
Laverna, slice.
They make cool choices. They treat Barbie really nicely. Mm-hmm. They're like trying to play a thoughtful, like manipulative game between the good guys and the bad guys, but none of the movie focuses on that.
No.
But they're cool, and if you watch this movie and wanted to grow up to be like them, you were right. These were really cool characters. I think that's all the pros.
That's all the pros. What would you say is the worst part of this movie? Because I know what my low point of this movie was.
One of my least favorite things about this movie is that all of the animation budget, you can like see it being sucked out of every other asset in the movie, because Bibble has like every single one of his nasty little blue hairs individually animated. He's this like he must have taken like 50% of their rendering power to animate.
Working on Bibble, and they were like, we gotta have a plot.
And I think they started with Bibble and realized that they had to release this movie in like 2 months, and were like, okay, just finish Bibble. And
just finish Bibble.
I don't know, just throw some skin over the skeleton.
This
character
is really
models.
more Bibble : Fairytopia.
So true.
Than Barbie. My lowest point is that at one point, so sleeping in the flower, cute. Drinking out of little teacup flowers, cute. Love it. Little tables and chairs made out of petals, big fan. At one point, Elena goes hang gliding and also uses a flower, but they just have her jump and just grip the stamen of that flower.
It feels weird.
Which is weird.
It's a weird thing to watch.
And it's like, you didn't have to draw it like that. I don't know.
Every part of it feels weird.
This movie feels like it thinks its audience is stupid, and also it doesn't know what its audience is.
This movie feels like someone asked Sigmund Freud to write a movie for young girls.
Yeah.
There's something like, I don't know.
There's just a lot of lines that are weird, and there's a lot of imagery that's weird. There's just a lot of weird choices where it's like, I feel like this is not something I should be watching. Like, it's awful.
Taking a step back from that, like, I totally can understand that may have just been us really bouncing off of this movie and it feeling really, like, harmful and trying to find a lot of justifications for that. It just doesn't work narratively in any way. There's no continuity of plot. Nobody's actions have any meaning.
They're just, like, introduced to characters for a little bit, and then they're like, well, I gotta go, or my mom's gonna have a panic attack. And I'm like, okay, bye, Dandelion. Like, what? Why?
It was written in an afternoon, is like what it feels like. And then it's very... There is something to this movie, I think, genuinely, that this feels the most different from everything we've seen. We're definitely in a phase 2. And there's even, like, a hint that that's going in a more, like, genuinely queer direction. With design, with, like, character choices, with subject matter. I thought for a moment this was going to be, like, a really interesting movie about a young girl who doesn't feel the same as everybody else around her and learns to, like, process and find strength in that and feel loved, at least by herself. But none of that lands at any point.
No.
Like, she just is given wings at the end because she was good enough to deserve them.
Yeah, like, there's some interesting parts of, like, nothing is structured for Alina. And that's, like, a really interesting commentary on, like, disability and being different in any way, really. But, like, you know, where they have, like, the tables and chairs that are accessible to flying fairies, and Alina has to, like, crawl up to them, and if she falls, she dies, you know?
Alina has a terrible time.
It's, like, really good at demonstrating, like, the stakes for someone who's, like, has a different mobility capability, I think. But you have to dig so hard to pull any of that out, I think.
And as soon as you find it, the movie just blatantly undermines it. Because no one is willing to make any concessions for Barbie who doesn't have wings. They just all hate her. And, like, universally agree that being a fairy that doesn't have wings is, like, the lowest class of person that you could be. Even the, like, guardians who are nice to her and good to her, they still, like, play within that space. Like, there's a conversation...
They're still like, a wingless fairy's coming to defeat you. Isn't that so embarrassing, Laverna?
It's super weird. Like, Azura shows up, and she's Alina's closest ally in this whole thing. And she's like, where's the wingless fairy? And she's like, I would never hang out with a wingless fairy. Which she, like, did, but it's still, like, you can tell that Azura definitely grew up believing some harmful things about wingless fairies, which is like, why create that world? Why did we even make this space? All of this is the first, like, completely fictionalized Barbie movie, and every choice about it is like, why are we here?
What's going on here?
What did you think that people were gonna get out of this?
What is the moral of this?
That if you work hard enough and are willing to overcome all of the challenges about the way that you're different than everybody else, then eventually a magical fairy will come down and fix you and make you like everybody else, because now you deserve to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
Because you worked hard enough. That's the moral of this movie. God, and that's pretty yucky.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
But the mermaid stuff goes hard, and I see why we get a Mermaidtopia coming up.
I remember liking Mermaidia better. I don't know if it was just, like, subject content, but
there's so many cool pieces, but
there's so much that could be so much.
It
cooler.
Feels like a queer metaphor made by homophobes.
Yes,
that's how I would describe Barbie Fairytopia.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not, there's nothing that made me laugh. There's nothing that made me feel valued or seen. There's nothing that made me want to watch the next 5 minutes. There's nothing that made me like Alina, other than her really cool makeup.
Yeah.
I really liked her hair and makeup in this. I think
there's
cool.
some fun things that you just, like, it would be absurd if there was nothing cool about a fairy world.
There's a setup for a romance with a mermaid prince.
Yeah.
That is one 5-minute scene. And then they just leave each other.
And we'll come back to that in the sequel.
And I guess, we're just setting up a
Prince
sequel.
Nalu.
Do you think maybe what happened was they wrote a really good movie? And then Mattel Studios was like, or this could be 3 bad movies. And
maybe.
People will buy them. Like, it feels like...
Or maybe it's like they wrote Mermaidia first. Like, you gotta... we have a fairy girl who doesn't have wings. You need to establish that with a bad movie first. Maybe Mermaidia's, like, really good.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it. I don't remember. I liked it better.
I want Mermaidia to be good.
I want it to be good. Do you know what is pretty disappointing about this movie, though?
What?
Is that I remember that the dolls for Fairytopia were so cool.
Looked really good. So
cool. Because they had, like, the rainbow ones, right? And so then their, like, skin was, like, a pastel of whatever color they were with their really cool dresses, So you had, like, this, like, orange fairy, and that was topaz, and that was really cool. And that, like, I hate it if there's, like, a horrible movie with excellent merchandise.
No, this feels like the first movie where they designed the dolls first and then wrote the movie. Mm-hmm. I imagine that that's something that you run into a lot. Mm-hmm. It happens in the boy world too. There's a lot of bad animated Transformers movies out there.
The Bionicles movies.
Well, the Bionicles movies are pretty cool. Mm. We'll get to those. This movie solidified it, but after Princess and the Pauper, I was like, we're gonna keep doing this, and I want to do this forever. But what happens when we run out of Barbie movies? And I have ideas for where this goes after. And Fairytopia was like, are we jumping ship next week? I think we're gonna push through. We're gonna finish Barbie for sure. Yeah. But there is a life for this podcast after Barbie.
Oh,
that's our hint for you.
There's no horse.
Let's maybe go through our criteria of what makes a Barbie movie, and we can prove to you that this is just not.
This is Fairytopia. It's not a Barbie movie. There's no horse.
There's no preposition. There's no best friend. There's Bibble. There's Hugh, which you want to maybe just give us an intro to Hugh.
Hugh is a big butterfly man, and he's British. And he's huge, and he wears a zipper.
He's like 8 times Alina's size.
So big.
He looks so bad.
And his wings flap so strange.
He's so
And
round.
he says tally ho, and he's wearing a jacket that has a zipper on it.
Look up Hugh right now.
No, don't.
He's really bad.
I don't want you to look that up.
And he helps
you do, don't tell anybody that I told you to look it up.
Turn on safe search and then look up Hugh. He helps them engage in aerial combat with these bird of paradise looking demon birds that hunt them down. Pterodactyl things. But they look like bird of paradise plants in the way that you think bird of paradise plants look when you're wrong about it. Where you think that the green part is the bird's head and it just has a spiky orange mohawk. Which is what I thought bird of paradise plants
and not like a little hummingbird kind of bird.
Not like a beautiful hummingbird landing on the plant, which is so much better.
Yeah.
This movie is we're making a movie about plants. Isn't there one named about birds? What does that look like? Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. A bird with spikes on its back?
Spikes on its back?
That's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Not a single... I don't know. We don't know anything. I can't make that
I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it treasures the abundance of all of these different flowers or all of these different gems or there's so many different I don't even want to pick which one of the guardians I am. I don't care.
Yeah.
You don't show me anything of them.
And you really should.
We get it. Topaz is kind of funny and Ruby is gay. That's it. That's it. I don't know anything else about him, so I don't want to pick.
There's so many ins. After watching Princess and the Pauper, there's so many great ways in to humanizing a young person's interests. Especially in this. You, as a little girl, were so into botany. Mm-hmm. And, still are. Mm-hmm. And this movie doesn't think that its audience is smart enough to,
to, even use the right flower for what they're named. You know what I mean? It's
But this movie could be so much cooler if it was like, let's teach you about the flowers
and the gems, the rainbow, or anything.
Like this whole world that exists of like bugs and flowers and like...
Yeah. And instead they're just giving me like trolls and giant butterfly men. It's
just ignoring everything we've learned about humanizing the things that are stereotypically like girl interests. Mm-hmm. Like flowers. Like butterflies, like cool dresses and makeup, like all these stereotypical things that make you cry when you see them at work in Princess and the Pauper, because it's like, you're a human and you deserve to find joy in these things.
Yeah.
And this one is like, man, girls are dumb, huh?
Scrap up.
Let's put a flower dress on this one, and that's the whole movie.
Yeah.
And just narratively, it functions like that. This follows the cinematic principle of tell.
Yeah.
And that's it. Nothing happens in this movie that you are allowed to figure out on your own. It is just cut from scene to scene of a different character monologue.
Who are you? And it's like, I've been sent to help you for 5 minutes of this movie until you don't need me anymore.
I'm the mermaid prince. Let me swim you across here.
Of course you need to eat this seaweed.
Eat the breath seaweed. Once you eat this, you'll be able to breathe underwater, and then you show them breathing underwater, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And, like, there's a scene in the beginning where the first fairy has been captured by Laverne, and she's like, why are you doing this? And he's like, oh, well, give me 45 seconds. I'll tell you why I'm doing it, what I'm doing, how I'm going to do it, and you should now you're interested in the film, huh? Because I've just sat you down, and like a timeshare pitch, I've told you the stakes. Mm-hmm. And now enjoy the movie, idiot.
Yeah, there's also nothing, like, redeeming about Alina, really. Like, she doesn't really do anything. She's kind, caring, and brave. But the whole time she's like, I am not the right person for this. This is not gonna work. Nobody likes me. I don't deserve this. I actually can't help. But also, nobody can help me. I have to do it by myself. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just walking.
Yeah.
That she doesn't learn anything. The only thing that changes about Alina is that she gets wings.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Nothing happens. She doesn't do or learn or anything.
The best way you can structure a story is with promises and progress and payoff. And this movie thinks that setups and payoffs means that if I need Barbie to be a world-class pitcher for the Sox in the last bit of the movie for her to win, let me just show you 10 seconds of her throwing a baseball really, really good in the first minute of the movie. And then, like, we did it. We set it up.
It's been justified.
We set it up. She's a great pitcher. Mm-hmm. Like, why? How?
Yeah.
Like, of course, like, that's cool that she is. But, like, can we spend some more time talking about how Barbie's developed these other skills that the other fairies don't have because she's wingless, which is how the movie works. Like, the whole time, every other fairy is telling you, the audience, that Alina's going to be able to win because she's not like the winged fairies. And the winged fairies can't fly anymore, so they're all useless. But Alina can do it because she's different. But all that we see of that is just people telling us that she's different.
Yeah. Well, and you get to see a little rainbow glint in her eye. That should totally explain everything to you.
What is that? What does that mean?
I don't know. I have no idea.
That moment happens where it's like halfway through the movie and you see a rainbow flash in her eye, and Rio was like, did you see that? That's important. And it was just like, why? Why should I know that that's important? Why should, like, I know that they're setting up something with that, but why should I even care to pay attention to the setup at this point? Yeah. The only skill that Alina has, it's very Lord of the Rings. Like, the only skill that she has is that she has a little bit more stamina to walk farther than the other fairies, because she's more used to using her legs. And so the other fairy her friend walks with her for like 2 minutes of the movie and is like, yeah, I'm going to head home.
I gotta go home. This sucks. And Alina at no point believes in herself that she can accomplish anything. The whole time, you were talking about this, every time she's just like, I can't go do this. I suck. And then she goes and does it. And there's no recognition that she did it. And then the next time a challenge comes up, she's just like,
this is going to be really hard for me, and then she just goes and does it easy, which is just bad screenwriting.
And she also doesn't do it. She just happens across a little weird, ugly guy.
Yeah.
That helps her do it.
A little leprechaun guy or a big butterfly guy.
Or
actually, she just walks up to a man who then solves the problem for her.
She walks up to an ugly, nasty little guy, man.
Or a hot guy.
Or a hot guy.
One time it's a hot mermaid man. That's the plot of this movie.
Oh my gosh.
We've made jokes about like Barbie not being a very active protagonist and how the male character sometimes is maybe more arguably the protagonist. This movie, Alina's only narratively significant because she can walk to where the men are. Mm-hmm. Or like Azura, she finds Azura.
Just blast a necklace into a diamond.
And that part happens, but Azura, I don't know, there's nothing satisfying about the female interactions.
No.
Where I'm getting nervous is that this movie bounced off of us so hard. As you're hearing.
Uh-huh.
We bounced off of this really hard.
I know people really like it.
And I know people really like it.
I do.
And I don't want you to feel like we think you're wrong or anything. And
no, it's not that we think you're wrong. We just hate you.
So I
don't mean that.
What I would love to have happen is those of you who like really rock with this movie genuinely and connected with it, especially as a young person. I mean this legitimately. This is not like a challenge. I mean like, please message us.
Please.
And tell us what you liked about this movie, because I want to find that. The whole point of this podcast is to find those things that like work for a young person and made them connect with these stories. And I know that that's in here, and we tried, but we couldn't really find it.
I could not find it.
And if you tell us what you loved about this movie, like, we will read that on the next episode. We'll start the next episode with that for those of you who like really have something that works for you in here.
Yes.
Because we want it to be in there.
Yes.
We wanted this movie to rock.
Because here's like, my only thoughts are like, there are definitely like queer and gender nonconforming readings of this movie. And that is so great. But you deserve better. You deserve a better version of that than this. You shouldn't have the worst animated Barbie movie yet to tell that story. You know what I mean?
It felt like a setup that just deserved anybody who cared about telling that story. Uh-huh. And that doesn't mean that the story being told is still not important.
Yeah.
But it just feels so bad to see it. This movie feels really disrespectful to me. And the ways that it's connecting for you, just let us know. We want to share that. We don't want to just like dunk as hard as we're dunking on this, especially things that maybe are working for you. Uh-huh. But it so did not work for us.
No.
The whole movie is a setup to her learning that she doesn't need wings, and then she gets wings. Why?
I don't know. They're great wings, though.
And she looks really great.
The only interesting wings, also. This movie's about fairies, and everybody's got plain wings except for Barbie right at the end.
You want to know a fun fact? Hugh is voiced by a guy who we'll see a lot in the series. His name is Alessandro Giuliani. He was the vocalist, I believe, for not King Dominic, but the other guy, Julian. Mm-hmm. I think he's the guy who sings for Julian.
Oh, he sings To Be a Princess?
I think it's the guy who sings To Be a Princess is the voice actor for Hugh.
Wow.
And in like every other Barbie movie from here on out.
Do you think that maybe in the Barbie cinematic universe it's also the same actor and they just had to put him in horrible mocap to play Hugh? Or is there a big butterfly man that they called into the studio?
Hugh does not move or function like any human creature I've seen, so I can only assume they got a big butterfly man to come in and do the mocap.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that makes a Barbie movie a Barbie movie.
Yes.
A great villain with like a celebrity guest voicing the villain. Mm-hmm. The villain in this movie is Laverna.
Yeah.
Who's voiced by the special celebrity guest star Kathleen Barr, known for voicing one character in Dragon Tales and one character in a show called The Reboot and nothing else.
She gives a great performance.
And she crushes it.
Crushes it.
This is not a dunk on her.
No. Laverna is the best part of the movie.
She's the best part of the movie, and she's better than Frasier.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Yep.
And she's just like a voice actor. But I think that just kind of is the last piece where all of these things that are so key to a Barbie movie, like a love of the sciences or of the arts, and a great horse, and
a good, like, solid cast, you know,
an
ensemble
of
characters.
kooky characters that you grow to love, genuinely fun comedic relief characters, something there for your little brother who's going to watch it with you. All of those things are gone, and yet Kathleen Barr puts this villain on her back, and she carries the movie. And it, like Kelly Sheridan,
the movie also just doesn't even give Laverna, like, a chance to do anything, really. Her motivation is essentially never explained. She's the twin sister of the Enchantress, but we have really no idea who the Enchantress who she is or what anybody's doing.
There's so many pieces. This was a good movie that they cut up into 3 bad movies. Guaranteed. Is sad because that's just like, oh well, girls love fairies, so let's make this movie. And that was the beginning and the end of the conversation about this movie. I like the part where Barbie's walking around and she says it's kind of spooky in here, and she's in hell. It's like the scariest place we've seen in a Barbie movie. It's these massive, like, tree, everything's red. There's, like, acid dripping from the sky. There's literal screams that you can hear in the distance. And Alina just goes, it's kind of spooky in here.
Yeah.
So that part's funny.
That is funny.
The beginning of the movie, I was really excited. I think that's why you're hearing so much, like, anger from me in this was going, and I've heard from my friends who love this movie. And they were, like, texting us and like, oh, I'm so excited for you to watch Fairytopia. And I was like, this is cool. This is colorful. It's pretty gay. Like, this is going in a lot of directions that I'm really excited about. And that just slammed to a halt, like, a minute and a half in, and never delivered on any of those things. And then you start to see some of the, like, Lavernas and the Azuras, and you're like, oh, is this interesting? Okay. And then they go away. Everything that is set up that is good, that if I was a young person watching, I bet you turn this on and you play with your friends and you come up with a 20 times better movie based in this world. And I think that's the redeeming thing for me, is like, if I'm not watching it for the plot, there's great characters and ideas and world building to just pull from visually. Yeah. And have a fun space to play in as a kid. Yeah. There's that. Totally. That is the level that this works on exclusively. Which, like, when we do our scores, spoiler alert, I'm not giving this like a 0. Yeah. There are things in here that work. That are good. And for me, maybe it's just that this is handing a kid the tools to create something much, much better than the filmmakers made. It's a great little, like, sensory bin of loose concepts for you to play in. But that just pisses me off, because young people deserve way better than just that. You can come up with something that engages with them meaningfully. Yeah. What's something to not be mad about this movie? Give me one more thing. I just feel like I'm bringing such a negative energy to Barbie Fairytopia. Maybe we also were both so sick when we watched this movie, and then just did like a 7-hour car ride through 3 blizzards. Yeah. That might be sprinkling. We're like kind of giving nothing for this one. What else is good about Barbie Fairytopia? Just one more thing. We just need one more thing, and then we can move on. I think that there's more thought put into the fashion for the male characters, the male fairies specifically, than we've seen for a lot of other male characters in Barbie movies. I think they're allowed to have a lot more, like, accessories and a lot more color, and I think that that's really interesting. Yeah, the male characters are stepping out of this romanticized husband archetype. They're not necessarily giving husband as much. And they're giving they have colorful individual, like, sass and
like interests, but
and like individual personality that they're expressing through the language of Barbie, which is usually like visually through aesthetic choices and through quips and witticisms, which I agree is really fun to see. There's a lot of male characters in here. The Twinks are the leprechauns. And they all kind of do work as individual characters.
Yeah.
But the way that they are integrated into the plot is nothing. But it does start to expand what a non-female, like, best friend or romantic lead character can be in a Barbie movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, like, if Prince Nalu, the mermaid boy, is set up to end up being Alina's lover, he's going to be one of the most interesting, like, more unique male love interests in the BCU.
He's very different than
he's very
every
different.
other dude we've seen so far.
Yeah.
And I liked him. And this movie sucks for giving us 10 seconds of him. Because he's fun. He's like...
He's an F-boy. Like,
yeah,
he's just
he
there
totally
with his,
is.
like, girls.
There's, like, two girls who are just staring at him.
That are just, like, arched over him.
And his whole, like, character is just him sitting there and being like, my life is so good.
Yeah.
I'm so hot, and everyone else around me is so hot. And then he meets Alina.
I like that.
He meets Alina and holds her hand and swims through the water and is like...
silently.
I would like to spend more time with you. And she goes, uh-huh, but I gotta go. And that's it. Which is, like, fun.
It's kind of funny.
Kind of funny and interesting.
Yeah, it, like, makes me want to watch Mermaidia for Nalu.
Fingers crossed for Mermaidia.
So, come on.
That's what we have to say.
Nori's in this one.
Here's my official
I'm just holding out for Nalu and Nori, okay?
My official review of Barbie : Fairytopia.
Okay.
Fingers crossed for Mermaidia.
Yep. Yeah.
Anything else to say? Any last words?
I really don't have
Message us about what you love about this movie.
Please do. I'll watch it again. Like, if I get enough content of, like, look for this, I will.
This one might...
I want to like
this
it.
might be our first, like... We'll give it a second chance episode.
Yeah.
But today is not that day. I'm ready to get the heck out of here. Oh, I actually have a proposal for you.
Oh.
I think that...
You want to get married?
Sure.
Okay.
That wasn't what I was going to say, but I do love you and would love to spend the rest of my life with you.
Nice.
But I was thinking we have this kind of like movie theater framing device going on for our podcast. Mm-hmm. And I like to think of myself as the Barbie and you're the Kelly. That's not true. It's just a funny thing to say. But we have this like movie theater kind of framing device. Uh-huh. I think we should fully start to transition into just like every episode is a sleepover. Uh-huh. I think this is just a snack break, like you do in a sleepover.
Okay.
We don't have to go to the lobby. It's like, let's go upstairs and get some snacks.
Okay.
You know?
Raid the pantry.
Let's raid the pantry.
Let's raid the pantry, baby.
That's it. Yeah, you found it.
We're raiding the pantry.
What are you grabbing?
What am I stealing from the pantry?
Yeah.
This is so funny because it just opens you up to, like, the depths of your childhood pantry, which I feel like it has a lot of secrets in there. Like, that is a scary place, isn't it?
There's going to be a lot more telling.
Yeah. I'm going in for a can of black olives and...
Oh. And there has to be an and what else?
And Fresca. There's Fresca in there.
With just a fork and a can of black olives?
Not a fork. I got my fingies for a reason.
Oh, just slip them on like rings?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go up and get one of those containers of cereal and just pop the top off of that thing and just eat handfuls of hard, dry cereal. Captain Crunch with crunch berries and marshmallows, the one that you can only get at like the off-brand. Yeah. Colossal Berry Crunch.
Yes, that's good stuff.
With marshmallows.
Okay, don't let Mom catch you.
Alright, we're back. We went up to the pantry.
Hello.
We didn't get caught, don't worry.
Didn't get caught. I also decided no olives. I was feeling a little bit embarrassed.
We couldn't find the can opener.
Yeah. And, well, I could, but mine's electric and I don't really know how to use it and it's super loud.
And it's gonna wake everybody up.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about the B segment just now, and Rio was like, oh, I've been sick. I didn't really connect with this movie.
Because there's just like, there's not music, there's not dance, there's not even like flower science to get into.
And so I was like, you know what? It's okay. Like, you don't have to do anything. We can just take this one easy. I've got something prepared. And she's like, yeah, well, like, if we needed it, I do have something about Bibble impressions. Which is like, why didn't you lead with that? Yes. This should have been the whole episode.
Short. Okay.
What's this going to be?
So I did some digging, and I found the script for
the screenplay, the whole thing.
Which has Bibble's lines.
Oh.
And Bibble's lines are pretty much just like a keyboard smash, but then there's parentheses
of what he's actually saying.
Of what he's saying, or like not what he's saying, but like the intonation of like how it should be read. I'm going to read Bibble's line, and you tell me what the parentheses say. You know, so like, is this like happy?
It's all adverbs, kind of.
Yeah, like adverbs, or like this is said proudly, or you know, something like that. Okay. So this one is.
Could I get the line before?
Well, the line before is Alina, but Bibble's line before that is. And then he later says,
surprised.
This is helpless laughter or feigned indignation.
Pick one. You can't put an or in a screenplay.
It says both.
You can't just put an or in a screenplay. Okay, carry on.
Here we go. This is,
inquisitively.
This is puzzled noises. So I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
This one is no!
Indignant.
This is objecting noises.
Okay.
And this one's directly translated. Okay.
Into the Queen's English.
And it is
And that means
It means you'd better be.
Okay.
And this is another one that's also translated into the Queen's English. Sorry. This is matriarchal.
Oh, the King's... Oh my gosh, you're right. She died.
She died. So in the King's English, this is... I'll even give you the line before this. Yeah,
please.
Alina says, is he lying? And Bibble says...
I watched this movie last night. I should just, remember this. Could I get a language of origin?
No.
One more time.
Is he lying? Is he
lying? You wouldn't care if he was.
It's a little.
And that's nothing.
And that's it. Those are all my translated Bibble lines.
That was a really good
That's all I've
segment.
got.
I think we could...
At one point he does say, aye, which I really like.
What does that mean?
It means aye, aye.
Like a navyman. Like a sailor.
Yeah.
Well, Bibble did do 4 deployments on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
In the Navy. In the King's Royal Navy. Bibble reminds me, every Barbie movie is based off of some sort of classical narrative, right? I think that Barbie Fairytopia is inspired by the storytelling practices of the Old Testament. That's what I think's going on in Barbie Fairytopia. It
so does kind of feel like that, doesn't it?
I think it's like an Old Testament adaptation.
It does kind of feel like one of those animated, Scripture Scouts.
Like a
Bible Buddies
podcast. Yeah. It's structured...
like Bible Buddies.
I can follow Barbie Fairytopia exactly as well as I can follow the Old Testament as a story. Mm-hmm. With all the characters and actions and complicated sexual ethics.
Yeah.
If you like the Old Testament, you're going to love this movie.
You're going to love Barbie Fairytopia.
A subtle hint from the filmmakers that we're supposed to be thinking biblically. Biblically. Bibble study. We should...
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. Bibble.
I have a very exciting segment for you.
You do?
Yeah. This is one that we've been talking about since before this podcast was made. Way back in there. This is a Barbie watch. Uh-oh, Greta Gerwig's.
Oh, Barbie watch.
Greta's letting her little secrets out through the cracks. We're starting to get hints, crumbs. We're following the bread trail. We've had a trailer, which we haven't talked about yet.
We haven't, but it's lovely.
We'll talk about it.
Maybe do a mini-sode for it or something.
Maybe once we get to, like, the episode before Barbie, the return to Fairytopia, maybe we take a break and we do the Barbie trailer.
Yeah.
And brace ourselves and reconnect with something that we actually are passionate about. So we've got the trailer. We know that it's Margot. We know she's looking great. We know that there's some Stanley Kubrick references going on. This is getting, like, ironic and cinematically self-referential. Mm-hmm. Those were the things I think that we've picked up from the Barbie movie trailers, but also that, like, it's going to lean into the cool fits. The things that you, like, do want from a Barbie movie. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen anything to, like, push us away.
Yeah.
But we got a synopsis for the film. A log line. Like, we're hearing what this movie's going to be about.
I haven't heard this. What is that?
I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
And this is also you outing the fact that you don't read our friend's group chat who sent this tweet with this in it. But I'm glad that you didn't read it.
Listen, did you know that There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard by Lana Del Rey came out this week? And I've been busy, so I haven't been watching Barbie for a sec, okay?
You haven't heard this? No. You don't know what the Barbie movie is about. Mm-mm. Are you ready to find out? Mm-hmm. If you guys are trying to go into Barbie blind, you know, skip ahead. Actually, this is the last thing we're going to do. Loved having you.
Loved having you.
See ya.
So much.
Like, totally no worries. You can just get out of here. The official first synopsis that we've gotten for this movie. After being expelled from Barbie Land for being a less than perfect looking doll, Barbie sets off for the human world to find true happiness.
Well,
How's that hitting you right now? You're hearing this fresh live on the podcast.
I was starting to think that we were leaving, like, Barbie Dreamhouse world to enter the real world was sort of the energy. But that being a less than perfect looking doll, huh?
Which, this is really exciting and really promising to me. And also, definitely raises some flags. Because how are we going to...
I trust her.
I trust Greta with this. But now the dilemma with this is how do you ethically navigate a movie being about Margot Robbie not being perfect enough? Mm-hmm. Because... I
know that's, like, what I'm thinking about. It's like,
that's the question,
what's wrong with her?
But I think that that's what the movie's going to be about.
Yeah.
Is, like, even Margot Robbie can't live up to the standard of Barbie. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's, like, not for humans.
Yeah.
And Barbie's going to learn how to be a human and still be a person who's, like, unattainably hot. But we're going to be tackling these questions directly, which is exciting to me. Mm-hmm. Like, this is going to be a movie about the perfectionist standards that Barbie sets for people.
Yeah.
Which, if it was about anything else, it'd be a pretty problematic movie. Uh-huh. So I think that's a good sign. Uh-huh. I think we're on the right track.
I'm excited.
What do you think Barbie Land's going to look like? But this is where we start to, like, make our predictions so we can go back and
Barbie Land's gonna
say that we called it.
I think it's going to be...
It's one word, by the way. Capital B, Barbie Land.
Barbie Land.
Yeah.
I imagine that it's going to look a little bit like Beverly Hills in an Aqua music video.
Do you think that Aqua is going to have a cameo in this movie?
They said that they're not putting Barbie Girl by Aqua in the soundtrack.
Not the music. The people.
Do I think that they'll be in it?
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
I think they'll have a cameo.
I think it'd be fun.
I think they'll, like, pull up in a car, like, in one scene next to them and, like, give them a nod.
I hope so.
And they're probably, like 98 years old by now, Aqua? I think that Barbie Land is going to be stop motion. That's my guess.
Interesting.
I hope that Barbie Land is stop motion animation with Barbie dolls.
That would be really
And
fun.
we get, like, a cold open of Barbie dolls that are, like, living their lives, like thousands of Barbie dolls living in their own society. And they hold some sort of trial and banish Barbie. And then we get some sort of transition out of animation into live action when she enters the human world. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be sick.
I'm so excited.
Okay, let's do some reviews. This movie has a 3.4 on Letterboxd. Like, people do like this movie.
I know.
I'm so sorry. I wanted to.
Bibble is the Barbie Cinematic Universe equivalent to Jar Jar Binks.
Katie gave this 4 stars, and she said, "Friends I haven't met yet," which is an important phrase in the film. This is like what gives Barbie power. "Friends I haven't met yet" is just codes for lesbians.
When does that line get said?
Azura says that to her, and then she, like, remembers it to, like, snap out of some sort of mind control power.
Yeah, like, that's the key word out of, you have friends that you haven't met yet.
That's her, like, MK Ultra, like, sleeper cell phrase
What?
that wakes her up.
Pew!
Yeah, and then she, like, overcomes everything. Okay, what I'm gathering here on Letterboxd is that all of the people who are giving this, like, 4 or 5 stars are loving all of the queer undertones in this movie, which are totally there, which we're, you know, fairly straight people. We're gonna, like, not engage with that in the same way, but we want it to be there.
Yeah, I just wanted more.
I feel like y'all just deserve so much, like, y'all deserve better. 4 stars from Stove Pie Jam. Anyone got the number for the big buff butterfly? I'm glad that there's people out there who are into that butterfly. 3.5 stars. This movie is so gay they didn't even bother to give Alina a love interest. They knew what they were doing. This is what every review on here says. And that was like where I was coming into this movie, and it just we should just make a Barbie movie that's actually gay. And not pulling out the queer themes and undertones of this movie. But if this was, like, the one thing that you had as a kid to be able to, like, see something close to a queer character on screen, I bet that this rocked.
My last review, which is 1.5 star, but with a favorite heart. And it says, "I don't believe the death sentence, but Bibble?"
Yeah, thank you. That's good. The crowd seems divided on Bibble here.
Yeah.
If he should be eaten and executed or
made king
in every Barbie movie.
Yeah.
What do you give this movie out of 12 Dancing Princesses? We haven't talked about this yet. What's your score?
3 out of 12 dancing princesses.
Okay.
And that's ruthless, but I stand by it.
I locked in on this.
Please change my mind.
Early on. 4 out of 12 Dancing Princesses is where I land on this. But last week, every other Barbie movie got a retroactive -1. I'm going to give them their +1s back.
Oh, this is great news.
I think we've really established a solid scale.
Scale.
So everything I said originally counts, because Princess and the Pauper was so much better, but Fairytopia establishes the lower end of our scale pretty soundly. Yeah. And I'm giving it a 4.
And Swan Lake at 8 really needs to be quite a bit further away from...
This is not a 1, this is not a 0. There's stuff there that's fun. And I bet watching this with a lot of people rocks. But I know that there's going to be much worse Barbie movies. And we're headed there fast. But next week is Barbie and the Magic of the Pegasus.
Yeah.
Which I hear is a pretty fun one.
Yes. It is a fun one.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much for listening. We love you. Have a good night. Good luck at your softball game tomorrow.